Hi, I'm Simon Jacobson. Welcome to Meaningful Mondays, where we answer your personal questions. The question for this week is the educational system. My daughter is very creative and she's having a hard time with going to school. We are thinking about homeschooling her. Does homeschooling create social problems for children? Very good question. I don't think we could have one blanket answer that one size fits all. It has a lot to do with the child, has a lot to do with the tutoring, and also a lot to do with the parents. I think a healthy child's development requires a number of things. One of them is definitely having friends. So to just tutor and homeschool someone without any friends would not be wise. But there are many ways that one can have a social life, even when they're being homeschooled. So I really think it comes down to weighing the pros and cons. On the other hand, having a child that's very creative and being forced to conform to the standards of, let's say, an average class. And let's face it, most schools, their resources only allow for dealing more or less with the average student, not with the excellent, not with the very poor students. So having a creative child that does not have an outlet, there's several solutions. Maybe it's not homeschooling, maybe it's getting a tutor and out of school hours, or even getting school's permission to do some extra work for this child to develop and to challenge and to elicit that creativity. Homeschooling is always an option, but to make sure that the child doesn't start growing up feeling different, even if they're brilliant, because you want them to also have the ability to have friendship and social skills, as well as just the basic education that we learn from being with others and not just being isolated geniuses. I've seen homeschooling work in a very great way of satisfying those needs. I've also seen it being done through supplemental education without taking this child out of school. If you cannot find a social circle for the child to naturally be in, because remember, at the end of the day, when you finish school and with your friends that went to school, it works well. To impose it and superimpose it in an unnatural way is also not that good. So if you can't really find a natural social circle, a natural social support for your child, I would be very cautious of entering into a homeschooling situation just to satisfy the creative needs of this child due to the loss of having that type of friendship and socialization. So it's really a combination of many factors, has to be weighed case by case and seeing what's the best possible solution under the circumstances. But I do commend parents that ask this question because you're thinking about it, you're not just taking it for granted, and it's very important to pay attention because that's when we come up with the best solutions. So I would look at all the options, weigh the pros and cons, and then resolve it in that fashion. Thank you for watching. I welcome your personal questions. Have a meaningful week.